Welcome back, everyone. We're here at the New School Sensei. I'm your host, Lance Douglas. We got Ken Douglas as well here with us, and we're very lucky to have Coach Paulie from IMC. Very, very cool to have you in, Paul. Ken has been speaking very highly of you. He's talked you up maybe too much. So I'd love to hear
I
from.
hope he hasn't done that.
Nah, he said awesome things about you. We wanted to bring you in because you're doing kickboxing. You're starting right from, kids are young. I think you got them starting from 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah,
It's
so
pretty
our
cool.
little kickboxing program starts at 5, but we actually do a little MMA program, minis MMA, which we start from 3, and I get them jab crossing from an age of 3.
Wow. And I know for us, traditionally, I remember like probably 10, 15 years ago, like we went to the martial arts seminars and they're saying kids don't like sparring, sparring's just for your competition team. For us, we had 2 sparring sessions a week, and that was for our comp team.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
But now, we then introduced a general sparring class just for our general students.
Yep.
And for some strange reason, they loved it. It was our most busy class. Then we added 3 general sparring classes a week, and they were our most busy. Then we went to 5. Now we have sparring 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So we went from 1 sparring, just competition team. We have it every day. And we're actually looking to do more sparring, like doing more sparring class for the adults too.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess times have changed. And Ken, I'll get you to start us off. You brought in Paulie. You've brought him all the way from Liverpool. So hit him up, Ken. Pick his brain because Ken runs our sparring program. So he's gonna really get into the nuts and
No
bolts.
problem.
All right,
We
so
can all learn from each other.
I like it, Paulie. So I'd love to hear how you teaching kids at 3 and 4 years old to jab cross, because I find that at 3 and 4 year, like the kids, they barely even know their left and right.
Yeah,
It's
true.
it's very difficult. So I'd love to pick your brain on that to start off with.
Well, basically, our mini MMA program, we start from 3. A lot of those kids do our little ninja karate program as well, and they just want to start punching. So our little ninja karate program doesn't actually incorporate the punching each other or a pad or anything like that. So our mini MMA, we get them to do a jump cross, get them to do a leg kick, which is a Thai kick, turning kick for those karate. Basically just from there, and we work really, really slow with them. Might take them a couple of weeks, but we keep them to get their guard up, and we tell them guard up, and they put their hands up and so forth on their cheeks, and we just baby them all the way through their jab cross. And I've got four to six roughly every week on that 1-day class program for that MMA. And then we've got the minis kickboxing, little kickboxer. We've been running that for probably about a year and a half now. And we run 2 sparring classes a week. We run it on a Wednesday and a Thursday. We run that 6 days a week, that little kickboxer program. And and just absolute, this week's a good week to have me on because it's a sparring week for us. So after grading, we normally do a sparring week, and mate, the classes are packed, and it gives the time for the new ones who have graded, who are moving into the sparring class, to get their sparring equipment, babying them in, because no one likes to be hit. No, it's not enjoyable to be hit. So we put the kids into a uncomfortable position to get them comfortable with what's going on.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. You're talking about people don't like getting hit. For me personally, I don't like getting hit. So my style when I spar is movement based. Ken's the opposite. He's kind of bites down on that mouthpiece, hands up, and he's swinging. So I guess you have different types of students. Some just want to maybe look a bit more pretty, and some people want to get right in there. Isn't that right, Kenny?
Yeah, correct, 100%. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, so like if we talk about sparring for kids, how do you make it safe? Like you got your gloves, your shin pads.
Yeah, so
I'd love you to talk about
we
your
run
system.
with 8-ounce gloves, 8-ounce kickboxing gloves. So full face headgear with a grill at the front, chest plate, shin pads, groin guard, mouth guard. So, but my rules for my 5 to 8-year-olds, there is absolutely no head contact at all. Absolutely no head contact. So you're allowed to clinch. So we do clinch. So you're allowed to clinch. You're allowed to knee to the chest plate. But there is absolutely no head contact at all. So we used to. for about 6 months, and then I restructured the whole thing. Excuse me. We restructured the whole thing, and it's actually even taken off even more now. So I just think getting the kids comfortable, throwing the punches, throwing the kicks, and actually blocking and defending and moving instead of just being a human puncher bag for another kid just punching them in the head. So that's why I look at it.
How do you get the parents on board to sort of buy all the gear, because you're talking about chest plates. That's something that we used to do for the comp team, but that was always a struggle, and, like helmets and stuff, because that's a lot of gear for a parent.
Yeah, so look, I'll be straight up. No parent wants their kid to miss out, yeah? So, and no kid wants to not have what every other kid's got. So I'm pretty lucky. I've got a good core base little kickboxer. Some of them just graded to red shirt. So there's only one away from our little black rank in little kickboxer. I wrote the syllabus for that. We've got stage A and B for beginners, intermediate, and advanced. We run 5 shirt colours. So yellow, green, blue, purple, red, and then your black level. So when that little core group I have, I take them to Muay Thai New South Wales events where they will compete. Actually, I just had one of our little 5-year-olds only a couple of weeks ago. He actually got match like fight of the day. Sorry, him and his little opponent from Canberra. So, but what Muay Thai New South Wales is doing for the Junior Development Day is absolutely just out of this world. Just getting the kids in there in a safe environment. I'm actually one of the officials there. Just getting the kids in there in a safe environment. It's perfect. So, with having that core group here at IMC, the parents seeing them spar and seeing what they're capable of doing, the parents just roll on. And, if I've got a couple of beginners, I say to them, if they want to spar, I'll baby them through it. Not a problem. But they don't have to spar at the start if they don't want to. I do not force any child to spar. But once they start seeing how safe it is and how controlled I do it, you'll see it on my Instagrams that I'm basically hovering over the top of them with my assistant instructors. And the assistant instructors I have, one of the females I have, she's actually one of my fighters. I have my daughter, and I've got another couple of the young boys who are high ranks. So it's very controlled. We're hovering over them, making sure that nothing sort of happens. And if anything's not looking safe, we'll pull them apart and we'll talk to the kids and explain to the kids, this is what you should have done. This is what you should have done. But if one of the children doesn't have anything, I'll throw a pair of shin pads on them. I'll throw a headgear on them. They've already got their gloves. So then we'll do kick sparring. And I'll say to the parents, look, this is one step further, blah, blah, blah. And, mate, I've really had no one say, oh, no, they're not buying it. My little kickboxer program over a 6-day week, we're running 2 classes on a Tuesday and a Thursday now because it just got so busy. But I'm averaging 20 to 25 kids in each class.
That's very impressive. Isn't that right, Lance? What's your thoughts, mate? He's running a tight ship, sounds like.
Yeah, I guess it's almost counterintuitive, but when you explain it, Paul, it just makes sense. Like, you're hovering over them, there's no head contact.
Yeah.
It sounds like pretty safe. My boy's almost 4, so to be honest, like, I would send him to you.
Yeah.
Like, just the way you presented it.
Well, mate, the way I look at it is I'm old school as well. I'm strict, but I'm pretty fair. And look, I'm a big kid myself. The little ones look at me and go, oh, at the start. And then I'm high-fiving them and I'm in there. And I'll even I've got a couple of kids who will walk into class and put their hands up and they want to have a little bit of jab cross to me. Or if I turn my back, they'll punch me in the back of my leg or something. You know what I mean? But I find the more interaction I have with them, the more trust I have with them.
Yeah. I feel like today there might be an even greater need for sparring. Because I don't know what you're seeing over there in Liverpool, but a lot of the kids here, they're on tech, they don't really play much sport. So thinking me, because now obviously me and Ken are new parents, like we want our kids to go out there and challenge themselves.
Yeah.
And there's probably nothing better than sparring. 1v1, you can't hide behind a teammate. And
Well, funny you
yeah,
say
get a better done.
1v1. Funny you say that because only a few weeks ago, I incorporated 2-on-1.
Even better.
So, look, we all know, even like I'm 44, even back when I was at school, there was no one-on-ones, and there never is one-on-ones, especially in Western Sydney where we are. I want the best for these kids. I look at these kids like they're extended family of my own. So I'm a bit close to some of them, excuse me, but yeah, the 2-on-1 sparring, basically I tell them it's survival. It's survival. You've got the basic tools. You use those basic tools to survive now. And especially on the 2-on-1, I'll let them take them. I'll let one take them down from behind. I'll let them have a little bit of a ground and pound because that's what's going to happen out in the real world. And that's what we're here for. We're giving a service back to these parents who are trusting us with their children. And I feel if anything happens to them outside, I'll let them down. So I'll give them everything, the best I can, to get them ready for the real world outside.
Yeah, I can sense the passion through the screen.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Ken, have we talked about the story? Because me and Ken in primary school, like we were notorious for 2-on-1s. As in me and Ken versus another. Often was a bully. Have we talked about that on the podcast, Kenny?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I guess there's a bit of strategy with it. Obviously, Ken and I are twins, and
well, I've got granddaughters, and I've got two granddaughters that twins. So
it's the opposite. Like 2-on-1, if you're versing two, but sometimes you need good strategy if it's two little guys. Because back in the day, you wouldn't believe it, Paulie, but Ken and I, we were just small little Asian kids.
Yeah.
Like didn't hit puberty till 15. So the big boys saw they could take us on. And the one thing I remember our dad telling us, like, if your brother gets in a fight, you better back him up. And
Yep.
I remember, like, I was playing footy. Ken was on the other team, and my teammate was fighting Ken. Guess what I did to my own teammate? I'm pretty sure I ran up behind him and did like a flying sidekick on my own teammate.
Hey, you do anything for your blood.
100%. And then I remember the guy turned around because it was big. Like, I think me and Ken were only in grade 2.
Yeah.
And the flying sidekick did nothing. He turned around and he cracked me in the face, but he didn't know how to punch, so I didn't really feel much. Yeah. And then, do you remember what happened after that, Ken? I can't remember too much after that.
I can barely remember, but yeah. I'm pretty sure like every fight I've ever been in, it's been 2v1, me and Lance putting a beat down on someone. Literally every single fight's been 2v1.
I'm sure they've deserved it. I'm sure they've deserved it.
I remember there was another grade 6 who's picking on, I think he was picking on me, and then we just like, I think we somehow got him down, and it was a proper beatdown. But obviously parents listening, we don't want our kids to do that. We back then, like learning now, a bit of time, bit of maturity, we should have used, use our words, try and, avoid the situation. But sometimes, especially, I don't know how it is in Western Sydney, but in Melbourne.
Western Melbourne.
Western Melbourne.
I'm guessing it's all.
Rougher.
I've got a few mates down in Melbourne, so I'm guessing it's all around the same as well. It doesn't matter what area you're in. You'll have those bullies. Like we've had a bully in my kids' kickboxing class. He was bullying one of my students, and I only got told this only about a month ago. The parent come in, and this kid was so quiet. This student, and he's done about 2 years with me, and this bully just kept going at him, and I guess he's just had enough, and probably it's the right time to do it. But he just cracked it in the middle of the classroom and just started going for him in the middle of the class. And look, I've got two hats there. I've taken my instructor hat off, and as a parent, go, mate, awesome, well done. That's what I'd tell my kids to do. But then as an instructor, you go, oh, mate, I've told you to do this, told you to do that. But I guess if all things fail, well, you do need to take control of the situation by yourself, and that's what we teach our kids to do.
Yeah, there's that dilemma. I've had it the same thing. Like as a coach, definitely don't strike. If you have to, just push them. Go tell the teacher.
100%.
But I've had parents tell me, like straight up say to me on the front desk, like if anyone hits my kid, I want them to bash them.
Yeah.
So it's like you have both sides.
Yeah.
Like you have like a fully articulate, like I've had PhD parents tell me that straight up. Like you'd think they'd be articulate, there'd be a nuance, but straight up, anyone who tries to hit my kid, I want him to bash them.
Yeah.
So
See, I don't even let my kids, even if a brother, sister, or two brothers, I won't even let them practice at home because the parents these days just go, oh, they just lose it. And so I want them to be able to be in control. And the way I teach the sparring especially is if you lose your mind, you've lost everything. And look, I've learnt that over all my years, I wasn't that innocent as a child either, My mum used to come home and go, what have you done now? And, but I don't want that for these kids. It's day and age. We all have to move on with times. We've all got smarter. And you try to get these kids to think before and think about what the reaction will be if you've done this.
yeah, definitely. Let's move back to the sparring. For us, we do a lot of for the kids program, a lot of sparring for self-defense, as in grappling. Like all our levels will grapple for self-defense.
Yep.
Sparring, we only get them sparring blue belt and above, so they've probably got about a year, 2 years experience. What would be the benefit of starting sparring from day one, do you reckon?
Look, I think it's more confidence. Look, I don't do any groundwork. I put my hand up. I know the basic mount. That's it. I don't do anything like that. So when we teach them minis MMA, especially with the MMA program, the minis one, there's myself and our sensei Dylan, who has our head karate instructor. He's actually blue belt 3rd or 4th stripe. So he's been in jits tournaments as well as a Muay Thai fighter. So we teach it together. So he teaches all that groundwork, and then it just complements what we both do. But I think having someone who be able to stand there and take that punch or to be able to defend that punch gives them a little bit more confidence to be able to move away if they have to after that. They don't have to necessarily strike back the way I believe. Or B, if they need to take control, they can maybe, execute a 1 or 2 punch combo. And then if they need to take them down to control the situation, take them down. I did security for 20 years. Everything ends up on the ground. I know that. And I think we all know that as coaches and in senseis. So I think if you could control the situation or control that person who's trying to give harm to yourself, you're in a better position.
Yeah, I like how you use the word control. I had a parent come up to me because these days I'm a lot on the front desk, Paulie, and I get all types of questions, comments, everything. And the parent was saying that they're a pacifist. So they were trying to ask me, how can I reconcile a violent sport like karate while being a pacifist? And at the time, I actually couldn't really answer her. I actually didn't really.
You just said karate sport. It's a sport. What we do is a sport. It's gone the days of meathead gyms where you have to be this big, bulky beefhead to walk into a gym. Like, we've got females who walk in by themselves. And you said it exactly there. It's a sport. We all do sport. And it just happens to be combat where 2 people are meeting each other.
Yeah, I think in the moment I kind of explained it, use a sporting analogy. I actually compared it to rugby. Like rugby, they're tackling, they're dumping each other on the ground. It just so happens our sport is kicking and punching. How about Ken? I'll put the question to you. How would you answer that parent? Let's say a parent comes up, I'm a pacifist. Why should I send my kid in for self-defense?
Mate, there's sometimes words can't help you. Like if someone's coming at you, someone's attacking you, you have to defend yourself. Pacifist, you can put any sort of label on it here, Paulie. If someone's going to attack you, you have to be able to defend yourself straight up. And they're right, Paulie.
Well, look, I liked it. One of our elder school owners, one of the school owners from IMC, he actually said it. He goes, does your child need tutoring for maths or English? They do. If they do, well, they need tutoring for self-defense. No one's born to defend themselves. You have to be given the tools. Once you've got the tools, well, then you can defend yourself. But yeah, 100%. I'll tell you now, when all my security years, I think I got whacked a couple of times. You know, I don't have a pretty face like this for nothing. But you know, I'm not going to stand there and let someone just give me a whack in the head.
It's a big thing because I've spent some time. I did like early child education post grad, and just seeing in the kinders, and then also did some time in primary schools. There are a lot of kids that actually won't defend themselves. Like I've seen many kids take a beating. I've even seen in kinder, like I've seen a kid take a headbutt and then take
Wow.
a scratch. So it is important, like just teaching kids to defend themselves. And sometimes you got to, you know, there's a saying like, you know, if someone's a monster, like how do you beat a monster without defending yourself? Like obviously you don't want to become a monster. You got to use restraint, control.
Yeah.
But you know, if someone's just coming at you, you know, you gotta protect yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I'll be straight up with you. I'm actually really, really big on a leg kick. So you chop that person's leg, especially when they're walking towards you being an aggressor. And I use it in my sparring. I say to them, start with a leg kick, finish with a leg kick, whatever. But a leg kick will stop someone walking towards you. A, that will stop them being aggressive. And B, basically you chop their legs, they're not going to stand anymore, are they? So that's why I
That's
look at it.
awesome. That's
epic.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess if you're a school principal, like you got two kids, you know, one guy's been, you know, punching, fighting. The other guy, he just threw one leg kick. Like he hasn't caused any brain trauma. He hasn't knocked any teeth out.
That's right.
He's
Yep.
just given him a bruise. So
And stopped them walking for a little bit.
there you go. Let's get back into the nuts and bolts, Paulie. So at the start, we talked about teaching young kids, you know, that jab cross, that hook. I remember just Ken had a class yesterday and Ken struggled to teach these kids how to do a jab cross. They didn't know their left and right. They could barely tell if a pad was red, if one was blue. They couldn't put one foot in front of the other. Like, let's go back to, you know, first principles. How are you teaching them how to, you know, jab cross hook? You got to screen roll.
Look, if the kid doesn't know which hand is their dominant hand, I'll speak to the parent. I'll ask the parent. And on their first intro class, their second intro class, if they've signed up, I'll speak to the parents. I'll tell the parents. And the parents take one look at me. They can sort of see what sort of instructor I am. I'll walk upstairs. My class might be already on the floor before I walk on. And then bang, they know I'm there. They're all lined up. The intro class we'll take to the side. So we'll take the most we've had like ever. We've basically had a full class of intros, really. And that's basically one-on-one then. I'll get all the assistant instructors in. We'll sit with each intro, learn if they're southpaw or orthodox, which is left or right, you know. And we'll baby them. I'll teach them why they put their hands up. And I've come up with how to do a head cover. I'll say talk on the phone. All kids talk on the phone, yeah? But I need to probably change that because last week I had a kid go like this. And I went, what's he doing? I said, head cover, talk on the phone.
100%.
He's there going, FaceTime. And I went, oh, no. So I probably need to rearrange something along those lines. But, yeah, he went like this. So what you were saying earlier about technology is these kids need to get off these technology. You know, it's all good and well for some time. But when they get their hands up, they know they put their left and rights up. And so we'll teach them. I'll hold their hands. I'll go left, right. So we'll go through it. And everything I'll say, jab, cross, your front hand, jab. And at the start of every class, I'll say, which one is your jab hand? Because everyone's southpaw or orthodox. They're different. And I'll make the kids not watch each other as well. The kids have to look at themselves in the mirror. Purely because we have everyone different. So left and rights. And I just had someone trying to get in my door. That's okay.
Welcome, Sydney, mate.
But yeah, so I'll baby him with the left and rights. And every class I'll say, what's your front hand? Jab. What's your backhand? Cross. So we really, really break it down. And like I said, what makes it a little bit easier is they've come through that. Some of them has come through that little ninja karate program where you have to learn your horse riding stance and side punch with your lefts and rights. So they started from an early age, you know what I mean? But
And then,
yeah, sorry,
so say you're getting them punching. When do you get them starting punching the pads?
straight away. Yep, straight away. So I'll get them to punch their hands first, jab, cross, jab, cross. And then when we incorporate the combo, the jab, cross, hook, tie kick, excuse me, I'll get the pads and I'll use the pads. I do a lot of privates. And how we actually started this minis kickboxing, a little kickboxing program, is I was actually doing a private lesson with a 4-year-old. And I'd been doing it for about 6 months. And I went, there's a market here. So I sat down with Robbie, the owner, and you know, I'm not the owner, so speaking to Rob, I have to try to get him on board with this, you know. And then when he looked at it, and we had more and more inquiries, mate, we just ran with it, and it's just picked up in a year and a half, and now all the IMC centres do it. So it's it's really picked off. I think it's changed from the traditional karate to everyone wants to be MMA, UFC. And the parents, wanting these kids to actually throw a jab cross, throw the kick. And what's good is I'll let parents sit up there and watch. Only one parent is allowed to sit up there and watch at a time. So the parents will swap occasionally. The husband will come, or the grandmother will come, the grandfather will come, and they'll see the progression of the children, especially with our grading situation. They'll see the progression of the children with their technique plus their sparring.
When they start the class, they have the gloves on from the first minute.
Nah, so we run the classes in a line, no gloves at the start. So I want to correct their technique, make sure their knuckles are turned in, the wrists are straight, the punch is straight, the chin's down, shoulders are rolled forward. Just the basic stuff, because I am a big believer if you don't have those basics and you keep letting them move on and have like some kids will punch with a cat scratch, you know, but that's just them. Until they get their coordination, their motivation, and their motor skills together, and we baby that through. We'll work with them. You know, we've got some kids who can just natural. They just got boom, throw that jab. Then you got some kids who will come in and they don't know their left and right, so you have to work a little bit harder with them. But with having the kids who are more dominant, the younger ones will. It's just like Murphy's Law. They'll just actually get better with watching the other people as well and partnering. I'm a big believer. Everyone spread out, everyone partner. So I'll have a white partner with a red shirt. I don't care about that.
I like it, Paulie. So while we're in the nuts and bolts, let's talk about how you structure the classes from your warm-up all the way to ending game
so
activity. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so it's a half an hour class. So we bow in traditional Thai style, a quick, basic 2-minute warm-up. I've got these 5-year-olds doing 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, 10 squats, 10 burpees, and they're pumping them out. And then I'll let them get a quick drink. Some of the little ones will want to have a chat with me, tell me what their sister or brother's done, which is always puts a smile on my face. Then they'll get a quick drink. They'll come back with their gloves on. And depending on what class and what time it is, I could have 4, 5, 6 assistant instructors up there with myself. And we'll break into a technique. So we'll break into our groups. And then we've got probably maybe about 4 to 5 kids on each instructor. So we'll break that right down into our technique and into our grading, what we're learning. So it could be the punches that week, might be a defense, could be anything like that. So we'll go jab, cross, hook, uppercut, tie kick, push kick, whatever. We'll break it down to probably 2 or 3 techniques in that particular class, depending on their rank. Then we'll go onto the pads. So if it's a Monday or a Tuesday, exactly the same. Monday and Tuesday classes are identical. Wednesdays and Thursdays are identical. And then we also run the MMA on the Friday, which is only 1 day a week. And then we've got the Saturday back for the little kickboxing, which is a mixture. But at the end of the class, we'll do pads. I don't get the kids to hold the pads for each other. We do have small pads, and I was going to introduce that. But I find that the kids will get more of an outcome if the instructors are holding the pads. And we'll push them pretty hard. Like, I'll catch their leg, I'll sweep their leg. If they're not in a fighting stance, I'll sweep their leg. And you know, as a coach, we're all in that position. you know which children you can push that little bit further. And I'm a big believer of having that relationship with that child. And don't get me wrong, we've got some tears in the class. And I say to them, if you're hurt, I'll call an ambulance. Then you can cry. But if you're not hurt and you're crying, just breathe, 3 deep breaths. And mate, and I say to the parents, please don't get involved unless I bring the child to you if they're really, really hurt. And I've had no one like that. Like sometimes if I sweep them, they'll fall over and they've been winded. You're going to get more than that out on the street. You're going to get more than that in sparring if you get tripped over. So having that relationship with the children works wonders as well. And like I said, they all just get their hands up. They all do it. If someone wants to tell me what they've done or what they did on the weekend or what they're going to do on the weekend, I'll let them say it for that split second, stop them, and tell me after class. So then I'll come back, and that's that interaction with that child as well at the end of class. You give each child, if you can, a couple of seconds each class, and you have that rapport with them as well.
It sounds action-packed. Is this your 4-year-old class that you're talking about?
So that's our 5 to 8 year olds.
5 to 8 year olds.
That's our mini kickboxing. That's our 5 to 8. And then once they turn 9, we move them downstairs to our kids program, which is 9 to 14. And then and that's the same. That's a 45-minute class.
Yeah.
And we'll smash that out as well. That's 6:15 to 7 o'clock at night, and basically the same thing. We'll separate into our groups. A little bit more of an upbeat, and a bigger area downstairs, of course. But we do the same with their sparring as well. 1 week it could be like checking kicks. The next week it will be punches, and then we'll put it all together. From around 10, I'll let them start sparring with head contact.
With so when you don't get the kids to hold the pads, is that just a younger group?
We hold them. We hold the pads.
Even your 9 to 14-year-olds?
No, they hold the pads with each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you work it? Like, say if you got a big class, maybe you got 20 kids.
I can have 60. I can have 60 kids in my kids kickboxing.
And then how do you work it where, like, if the coaches are holding the pads, I can imagine it'd be a bit of downtime for the other kids.
For the minis kickboxing, we hold the pads, and there's 5 to 6 children per an instructor. So I'll line them up. I'll have them in a line, and I'll do a 2 or 3 strike combo for each child. And then, so you rotating through for at least 10 minutes. You're rotating through that 4 to 5, 6 students. The kids kickboxing, which is the 9 to 14, they hold pads for each other. So we'll do 3 or 4 pads, and the instructors will walk around and help them.
With your 5 to 8-year-olds, when they're in the line, do you find they muck around a bit? Because we have sometimes the issue, like if the coach is holding the pads and you got, the other kids in the line, they're running amok. They think they're running the show.
Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no. With my assistant instructors, they sort of can. And then once I sort of glance over, give them that eye, the kids, coaches watch them. But look, kids are kids as well. And that's what I say to them. They're kids. Yes, it's only half an hour, but after a big long day at school or daycare, whatever they do after school, our classes don't start till 5 or 5:30 for the little ones. Some of these little ones will do our little ninja karate program, and then they've got their brother and sister in the kids karate program, and then they'll do their class. So these kids could be sitting here for an hour and a half, 2 hours after school. Kids are kids. They need to, they're out there as well. So I'll let them have that little bit of a muck around with each other. But when it's time to train, it's time to train. There is no screaming, no yelling, no running around like that. They can talk in the class to each other, in the line, sorry. But apart from that, there's no mucking around. I run a pretty tight ship. I'm pretty strict with them.
There you go. You run it very similar to Ken, to be honest. No, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you have to, bro. One thing, Paulie, so with all the equipment and gear, at what point in the class do you get them to put the helmets, the chest plates, because there's tons of it takes a long time, doesn't it?
Yeah, so look, I'm pretty lucky. Some of these kids can do it themselves. At the start, what I actually did was I laid all their equipment out in front of their bags for them and their parents' help, and said, right, I'm going to time you guys putting your stuff on. So that actually worked really, really well for a little bit. And it got the older ones going, oh, I can beat you, I'm faster than you. And it gets them, boom, boom, boom. The little ones, the parents will be up there and the parents will help them. And even I'll tell the parents, if you're too slow, you're giving me burpees.
That's epic. I like it. Wow.
So,
Yeah, no.
okay, use a payer for a service. Don't take 10 minutes to put sparring gear on. 2 shin pads, groin guard, chest plate, you're out. Gear, let's go.
That's still a lot of stuff, eh? Like, it does take the guys a while. That's why for our sparring classes, we get the guys to come in ready with all their gear.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
because we just
How
found
long's your class?
our sparring class 45 minutes.
45, okay.
Yeah, but they're a lot older.
If it's Wednesdays and Thursdays is our 2 sparring classes. So basically, as soon as I finish that warm up, bang, they're gone. So say 5 o'clock class, they're actually putting their gear on by 5 past.
Yeah,
We'll do that 2 3 minute warm up, and then the kids are putting their stuff on by 5 past. Let's say 3 4 minutes at the most, they're back on the floor by 10 past, and then I'll teach them a sparring drill where they'll partner up together. I'll show them a sparring drill for the week. And then what I require is them, when we're doing free sparring, I don't let them all just go and spar by themselves. Each instructor will call a pair up at a time. So I don't let, 12, 15 pairs all sparring at once, because it just it doesn't work. So it's more controlled. And I think the parents like it more when I've got that focus on that pair. And then each instructor's got that pair, and then we'll let them go for 30, 40 seconds, boom, sit them down, next one. And then we'll rotate those students around with each other, swap them over. So you get about 5 to 6 rounds in.
Sounds like you run a very tight ship. Just a question, Paulie. So at the moment for us at Twins, we don't use helmets or the chest plates. How does it make the training and the experience better for the kids by wearing a helmet and a chest plate? If you're going to sell it to us.
Look, I'm the chest plate. I'm a big believer in. These kids are still developing. Their insides are still developing. Some kids can throw a good tie kick, and if that lands flush, they don't have that control yet. They'll throw until it lands, and if they've got that chest plate on, it's that extra bit of precaution, a bit of safety around their body. I think. And also breathing. I teach these kids to breathe. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathe out with a strike. Breathe out when you're receiving a strike as well. But these chest plates, I think, are a good thing, especially when we incorporate knees as well. So we incorporate knees in our sparring. All knees have to go to the chest plate. So we adapt with the same rules as what the junior development days do as well. Then with all our karate base, where we're through ISCA, and it's a requirement through ISCA that they have to have a headgear with a face shield. So we just run with that from our little 4-year-olds all the way up to basically nearly 17-year-olds have to have face shield. After that, they're sweet. They can have an open face.
Very interesting, Lance. Like, that might be something that we might have to move to, because training the knees is a game changer because for us, I guess it's a banned move, but on the street, it's one of your best moves. Ain't that right, Lance?
Oof, actually, I remember using it in primary school. Another story. I remember Kenny was.
I'm getting a pattern here, you guys at school. I can just see
this one was really bad. It was
I remember this one. I remember it.
It's from primary school. So Kenny's playing footy, and I think this kid must have been 1 or 2 grades above, and must have been giving you some trouble. Yeah, I think. Did he say something to you or provoke you in any way?
I can't remember, but yeah, it was a good move I had on him.
All I remember is the guy was running past, Ken sidesteps, and then straight knee. And that kid dropped him. And obviously, parents listening, any kids listening, definitely don't do that. But it shows you, I remember Kenny, you weren't that big back then. This guy was a lot bigger and just poof. Just straight dropped him.
Times have changed, eh? Like in the 1990s, all bets are off, ain't that right, Paulie? And for you, probably in the 1980s, it was different times.
Different time.
It was just way different. You know, recess, lunchtime was a lot different.
Mate, we used
I
to
remember
play
there was
footy
like,
at school at lunchtime, and you know, and no doubt, 100%, it used to just end up in an all-in. One person, even if it wasn't even regarded, it might have been something that happened in a sporting against two teams outside 4 weeks ago, and the two guys have now had their chance to square off, and then it's all in.
It was a different time back then. Yeah, so
yeah,
so Lance, if we go back to the topic, you reckon that's something that Twins might have to look into? We'll look into the chest plates, the helmets. We got to look at sourcing them though. But it's
yeah,
interesting.
it would definitely add a different dynamic. I feel like you could do the knees just, I remember in Thailand, we just used the inside of the thigh and then you
Correct.
do the
Yeah.
side of the body.
Yeah. So I use that when they're inside the clinch. So inside the clinch, no straight knees. And I teach that purely because these kids, when they got their head up, they're worrying about the clinch inside the head, like around the head. They're not seeing the knee coming straight up into the solar plex, and that will wind anyone, through a chest plate or not. So if you're in the clinch, you have to clinch and knee with the inside thigh to the ribs. And then once they score, I say score, or they're clean with one or two knees, I'll break the clinch up, separate them, and then let them start again.
Yep. My other concern with the headgear, I know from my experience, like I remember as a kid, like someone puts the headgear on, it's almost like a target. Like I'm gonna try and hit that headgear. So, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I was just a weird kid. Um, but I can definitely see the value in it, and obviously the extra layer of safety. And also, you know, you don't want kids losing teeth, so it's a lot safer than just a cheap
Yeah,
mouth
well,
guard from the
even with
camera.
our face shield on the headgear, I still make them wear mouth guard as well because
You
I've seen a
double up
couple
on
of
it.
big tongues. So,
Wow, you even get a mouthpiece
oh,
behind
mouth guard. Oh,
the
yeah,
grill.
mouth guard's number one.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm not paying anyone dentist bills.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess if we were going to trial it, we'd probably do it in one class. We might have to even provide the gear, to be honest. But it is something. It is a good thing to kind of think
I
about.
think it's something that we definitely think about, Lance, just because extra safety, and you just have more options as well, adding the knees, all that sort of stuff. And you know, we've got the best kids coach in Australia, Coach Paulie's doing it. We'll have to jump on the
oh,
bandwagon.
thanks,
I
mate.
thought you were going to say the best kids coach, Aaron Marshall. Now we got one of our coaches is MMA fire as well,
Right, yep.
and he's lighting up the kids classes. Holy moly!
Yeah, oh, that's good. Yeah. How old's
It
your kids' classes?
So the kids, well, just in general, we start from 4 years old.
Yeah.
We used to do 3-year-olds, but finding a few of them they couldn't control their bowels,
Yeah.
and yeah, just if a kid drops a duke in the middle of the class,
Yep.
it's just awkward for everyone.
Yeah, we've
So
had that. Yeah.
so we just have 4-year-old kinder, because we assume if you're in 4-year-old kinder, you're not wearing a diaper or a
Yeah.
nappy. So
We actually started from 18 months. We do a martial minis class on a
18
Tuesday.
months.
So we call it mums and bubs. And their parents are on the floor with them. We start that
Literally
from
on the
18
floor.
months to 3. And then once they hit 3, they can start the Little Ninja program, which is our karate class, and our MMA. And then once they're 5, they can start the kickboxing.
Yep. We've had in the past some parents, they kind of want more like old school training, and like they essentially want their kids to fight from day one, like get into proper fights.
Yeah.
And often we just send them down the road. But I guess for you, how would you approach that situation?
Yeah, so look, we are by no means a fight gym. We are not a fight gym. I've got a few fighters who fight, but we are not a fight gym. Why I love the actual junior development days with the Muay Thai, it gets the kids in the ring under a safe environment, but also it gives the kids something to look forward to. So if these kids sparring with each other inside the class is a little bit different. And I actually run a fighters program as well. So if you think it's easy to be a fighter, come and join the fighters program. See if you can last the class. See if you can last 2, and then you can start progressing. So I make the people do a fighters class if they want to actually look at having a fight or they are fighting. But that's very, very small compared to the number of students we have here. But all the whole way we're going through, excuse me, having the parents saying, "Oh, I want the kids to fight." Learn the basics first. They have to learn how to keep their hands up. They need to learn how to throw a punch back because, like I said before, you don't want to be someone's punching bag. Even with your hands up, you're only going to take so many punches. And I try to explain that to the parents first. And mainly it's the mums are going, "Oh, no, I don't want my kids to do that." And the dads are going, "No, get in there, get in there." Even when the kid's crying, "Get back in there." But you have to work both. You sort of have to be the mediator between the father and the mother sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I think I want to be mindful of your time. Ken, do you have any other quick questions before we wrap it up?
Yeah, Paulie. I know there's a lot of coaches out there who they're like a one-man band. Yeah, so they would have 20 kids in the class and it's just them. They got no assistants. They got no kids that can help them, I guess, as well. So if you were going to teach a
Sounds
class,
like you can.
yeah. So Paulie, if you were going to teach a class of 20 kids by yourself, how would it change? Like if you want to structure it from warm up to
Mate,
finish.
I'll tell you right now, depending on what you're doing and what you're teaching, if you've got all different grades, that could be challenging. That could be pretty challenging if you've got all different grades. But look, our assistant instructors here, we're very, very lucky. They've been here for a very long time. So I'm probably blessed to have those with us. And I'm their coach in their classes as well. So I'm pretty lucky to have those kids here to help us. But yeah, if you're a one-man show and you're teaching all beginners, yeah, sweet. Or the advanced. I think the challenging would be when you've got multiple different ranks, and to try to bring it all together, you have to have a mediation where you can teach something in the middle what they could both get. Something similar to probably my beginners kickboxing program, I guess, for the adults. I've got white shirts and I've got yellow shirts. They're both running on a 2 different syllabus. But if I'm teaching that class by myself, I'll teach something basic like just a combo. But on a regular basis, that would be challenging. If you're teaching one-man show and you're 20 kids, every single class by yourself, that would be challenging.
That's how we run our sparring class, Paulie. We have one coach and 20 kids.
Where's your older kids? Why can't you bring your older kids
They're all
in like
training.
leadership?
They're all training.
Oh. So you're talking about yourself.
Yeah.
I can say good luck.
I think what Kenny does well, he will get the older kids to help out the beginner students.
Yep.
The way I describe it is if you get a advanced rank to help a beginner, then in the next part of the class, they get the most attention. So really, your higher ranks teach the beginners, and then you give all the attention to your higher ranks.
The way I look at it is the way I come through as well, and Rob was a big believer on this. The more you help someone, the more you'll better understand what you're teaching.
100%. I agree with that. Definitely.
So the more you've got your advanced students helping your beginners are going to make your advanced students more of a better student.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the way I've been brought through.
Yeah.
How are you managing, Ken? You're running the sparring classes. Like, you're one coach, you got 20, sometimes even bigger classes. I know Aaron, he's running bigger sparring classes.
Are you running all the kids sparring at once?
Sometimes, yeah, but I think it's the way we sort of word it. For us, the sparring class, it's really just a striking class. So it's only the last bit we do sparring, but it might not be full out sparring. It might just be like, turn for turn sparring or offense versus defense, all that sort of stuff. For our sparring class, they are higher ranks. So they've been training 1-2 years already before they can jump in there, which means they're going to be at least 8 or 9 years old, yeah, Lance.
Yep, definitely.
Which makes it a lot easier. And yes, so like for us, like for our pre-martial arts programs, that's where we get a lot of help, because obviously if those younger kids 4, 5, 6, you need a lot of help in those classes. So I think it is a little bit easier in our sparring classes. And I guess the way that I like to run it is I like to do a lot of partner work.
Yep.
So so you're constantly with a partner, and the partner's holding pads for you as well. So, but that's why we sort of asked you the question about holding pads, because I find sometimes holding the pads, teaching someone to hold pads is actually harder than teaching them a jab cross. And the and
Yes, I'll do. So I do a lot of privates. I even hold pads for fighters outside our gym as well. And being so frequent to Thailand, I've learnt from the best over in Thailand on how to hold pads and how to teach to hold the pads. And I'll teach the kids the same way I'll teach the adults. And you are right, holding the pads, it takes an art in itself to hold pads. The better the pad holder, the more workout the striker's going to get. So I'll teach these kids on how to hold that pad properly. And if you've got an orthodox fighter, put them with an orthodox striker. So then they're not trying to mix and match while they're still learning. That's what I do.
Yeah, you're running a tight ship, Paulie. So it's been an awesome chat. A lot of good things for us to think about, and I'm sure the listeners they've have some things they can test out at their dojo and school. So thanks so much, Paul.
Yeah, no, look, thank you for having me on, and you guys are doing great. I first remember how we met, Ken, and keep dancing, man.
Yeah. There you go. Kenny loves the dancing.
Yeah.
So, okay, guys, if you enjoyed that, let us know. Send us a message. Hit up Coach Paulie as well. He's got his Instagram. And we'll see you on the next one.
Cheers. See you later.